Hey, it's Menz here. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review here for the T-103, which is a new Russian Tier 8 premium tank destroyer that is basically being released somewhat soon here. By the time you see this video, it's not going for sale right away on the NA server. It'll be for sale from what they have said on May 4th. That's when it's hitting basically the premium shop for the NA server. However, the T-103 here, it's a pretty large TD, height-wise, length-wise, everything. It's pretty bulky. It definitely looks Russian. More or less, it does have a fully functional turret on it. Basically, it's not gimped as far as, it only can rotate a certain amount of degrees. It can go 360 degrees all around, which, there aren't too many TDs like that, albeit there are some. In any event, though, what is this tank? Is it good? Is it worth picking up? Doing a quick little breakdown of this, then I'm going to hop into a battle here and kind of see how it goes here. The T-103, basically, I'm going to go into the armor first, then I'll go into like a little comparison here. The armor on it, it's really hit or miss, honestly. You'll see here, just kind of looking straight at the tank, cupola, which is, honestly, this tank is so tall. It's not going to be able to hide behind anything. It has 8 degrees of gun depression, which is okay, but it's so big, like that's not going to feel like that much when you're hiding behind hills and stuff. Cupola, basically everything can pen you. Turret armor is pretty good, but generally speaking, higher tiers can pen you towards like the flatter areas, especially around your mantlet here, albeit for the most part your turret's pretty solid. Like not too many people are going to shoot you, especially with this very big cupola, and since it's situated in the front, it's not going to be hidden if you hold down. Pretty much everything else on the tank, the turret ring, which is it's massive. Like it looks almost like they took a turret from like World of Warships and just slapped it on top of like a KV4 hull or something. That's what it looks like. Basically no armor whatsoever for a tier 8, generally speaking, anywhere on basically the turret ring down. It's got like nothing. Like generally speaking, you might get like bounces if people shoot like an angled part of your side armor and stuff like this, but for the most part it's literally just the turret armor, and primarily once you get towards the front here, basically this area is the only part of the tank that actually has a chance to block shells. But moving forward, is this tank worth picking up? I have a few comparisons here. I picked, tier 8 tank destroyers that have, either fully functional turrets or semi-functional turrets here. I think this tank is honestly closely related to the T28 Proto as far as how it's going to play. Basically, a little bit of armor, also, as far as the gun and everything works. 440 alpha though, so I'm going to compare it directly to the prototype here, and I have the SU-130 PM, the Borsig, and the Scorpion in here too, since they have turrets. They don't, they kind of compare, but I feel like the Proto is the closest comparison. So a little bit more alpha than the T28 Proto, and also more penetration, as you can see here, 10 more meters of millimeters of penetration. The premium shell, it's 307, and it's another AP round, so you get 2 AP rounds here and 1 HE round, which the HE round's pretty decent here. On the Proto, so you have 10 more millimeters on the standard round. Also, when it comes to the premium round, Proto has APCR, and it also has a little bit less penetration, again 10 millimeters, and the HE round has a little bit less pen and also a little bit less damage per shot. When it gets down to the rate of fire, the Proto does have a higher rate of fire, but when it comes down to it, the DPM on them is virtually identical. This is just 100% crew, no equipment, no crew skills, anything, just basic stats here. The DPM is virtually identical across both of these tanks. One is a little bit more alpha and pen. The other down here has 10 degrees of gun depression, also, a little bit smaller turret and silhouette, so it can fight a little bit better on uneven terrain, but it's still not the best. This is where the T-103, I'm a little scared it's not going to work out too well on uneven terrain, even with, the turret had a little bit of gun depression it has, just because of how massive it is. When it comes down to the gun traverse, nothing really to see here. It has a turret, but since it's a TD, it is kind of low, and it is on the lower end of the TDs too. Aiming time a little bit higher than the prototype, accuracy a little bit better. So all in all, the gun looks good, but it doesn't look like anything like crazy broken. Like the penetration on it obviously is pretty good. It's got a 130 millimeter gun on it, and the alpha on it's good, but it's not anything crazy compared to these other 3 tanks here. So the gun to me seems, it looks pretty good. There's nothing too much to complain about it. It's not too broken, it's not too poor. It's just somewhere kind of in between. Hit points, it actually does have a lot of hit points compared to other TDs. 100 more than the prototype, 150 more than SU-130 PM, the Borsig. This is where the hull armor, albeit it's listed and it's really good for a tier 8 TD, generally speaking, the hull armor is bad, for lack of better words. Turret armor, good on the front. Generally speaking, if you compare the T-103 to the prototype, prototype has much better frontal armor on the hull, slightly weaker on like the turret front, the Proto, I feel like. However, the Proto does have slightly better hatches, whereas the T-103 has a slightly better turret front, I feel like, albeit it's much larger. It does have that huge commander's cupola that is pretty much an auto pen for everything now. Mobility, surprisingly, the mobility is actually decent. So specific power is good. It's adequate, low over 14 here, which is much better than the prototype. And as you can see, it just lacks a little bit compared to like the SU-130 PM and the Scorpion. And the Borsigs, just kind of left in the dust due to the very strong engine it has. Top speed of 40 and reverse of 12. Again, it's not blazingly fast like, say, the Scorpion and the 130 PM. But it's definitely not slow. It's it's faster than the prototype and the Borsig in this comparison here. So it's a little bit nimble, which you wouldn't really think with how large and kind of clunky this tank looks like. Traverse speed is also decent here, low over 31, so not going to have too many problems with turning that hole as you're kind of weaving in and out, with your massive tank. And as you can kind of expect, so getting to like another pretty big downside for this tank, it has no camouflage. It has 4.45 for like the basic value of nothing added to it. As you can see, even the prototype blows it out of the water. The Scorpion, has a lot more, and the Scorpion doesn't really have that much camouflage either because it's really tall. This thing is so tall, it does not have much camouflage. Like I haven't checked this before, but let's see how this compares to, say, a mouse here. And I'm just going to make sure I don't have any crew skills or anything on this. Not that these affect too much. Take the paint off of this. I'm pretty sure I have the paint off of that. And we got ourselves, a little bit more camouflage than a mouse. A mouse has 1.43. T-103, 4.45. This thing has no camouflage whatsoever because of the size of the thing. View range, however, 380 meters, same as the T28 Proto, better than most other tier 8 TDs. So it does get a little bit of view range, most likely just due to it not having any camouflage, honestly. But for the most part, what you're going to take out of the T-103 here is it has, okay mobility. It's got a pretty well-rounded gun. Like, it doesn't lean too much towards like DPM or alpha, and the penetration's good. Accuracy, there's nothing really to complain about the accuracy. It's just, it's good. It's just not laser accurate, but it's definitely not going to frustrate you too much. The turret, goes all the way around 360 degrees, so that's awesome. I have it set up just for like a general loadout here, but you could definitely pop like a camo net, honestly, on it. And also, like, if you wanted to, say, get rid of vents, you can basically just do like a camo net, binox, and even a rammer. If you wanted to play it that way, I wouldn't really suggest that, just because you do have a little bit of turret armor to work with. But who knows how this tank's really going to work out, because you're so large, you're going to be pretty easy to pen unless you can hide this massive tank. So let's hop into a battle here. I'm kind of, my time's kind of scarce here, planning for a wedding that's barely over a week away here. So this is actually going to be my first battle popping into this, and we'll see how it goes. Hope it's good. We got Abby. Oh, at least up top tier. In any event, though, let's see what happens here. Let me move my webcam so I'm not hogging the mini map. Nobody likes that. There we go. And I'll pop the little doggo up. In any event, though, let's see what happens here. Like, you can just see the size difference. Not that the tanks around me are huge, but you can kind of see, like, the T29 back there. You're taller than it, you're longer than it. Your turret's, it's massive. Your turret's basically like chucking it's like chucking an IKV-90 basically on your tank, and even that's smaller than your turret. Like, legitimately, this is basically like a World of Warships battleship turret, it seems like, or a cruiser turret that they chucked onto a tank. Like I was talking about, though, basically the mobility, it's pretty darn good. Like, your 40 kilometers top speed, you get to really fast. Even though I was going downhill, you hit it pretty easily. So it's quicker than you might think. On the move accuracy, this is the first time I can see the on the move accuracy while playing, is also good as well. As you can see, kind of moving the turret here, your aiming circle gets a little bit bigger, but it's not like some massive blob like if you're playing a T30 TD and it just blooms. So decent on the move accuracy, decent mobility, but nothing crazy. Like, you're not going to zip around as fast as, say, like a Scorpion or SU-130 PM. I'm going to try to play on this corner because, honestly, like, a lot of people know you can use these things. You're still going to be hit. Like, you can kind of hide the hole, but you're still going to be hit by this little, or not little, it's pretty big, Commander's Cupola. It's, that thing just kind of kills, kills the one thing, like, armor-wise that works for this tank, being the turret front armor. With that cupola on your tank, it's just, it seems like you have this gigantic weak spot, while, your entire hull is a weak spot as well. In any event, though, the gun on this, generally speaking, like, which I actually blocked the shot there. I don't know how. The gun on this thing, like, I really like the T28 Prototype, and I know quite a few other people like it as well. Which I'll actually look after the battle where people shoot me and where they pen. The gun on this with a little bit more alpha, a little bit more penetration too, and generally speaking, it reloads a little bit longer, but same DPM. The gun seems pretty nice. Like, there's not too much to complain about it, just like the Proto. And with the accuracy being similar, aiming time being similar, both edging out one another in one area and kind of losing in the other one. The main difference so far seems to me, like my first impressions here, seems to be basically the T-103 has much better on the move accuracy. Let's see if I can get back here. It's just this massive turret. I can't hide behind a rock like I typically could. Let's see, I don't think I can hit that T-25. Feel like I'm in like a skyscraper here. But so far this is kind of working out. I need to hope that this T-29 stays alive for me, though. But I'm definitely liking the mobility. Unlike the T28 Proto, where you're kind of sometimes fighting like the on-the-move accuracy, and also you're a little bit more sluggish. Generally speaking, it's a lot easier. I'm actually I just got stunned. And I died. I stupidly screwed up there. That was just... Unfortunately, you get the good, the bad, and ugly with me. I shouldn't have went out, because the T-25 whacked me, and that did a little bit more damage than I thought. Than the RD. I thought I was going to get the IS-3, but when I got stunned, I completely screwed up there. Oh well. Well, anyway, maybe I'll try to pop into one more quick little battle here. But generally speaking, like, that was an easy 2600 damage. I definitely didn't play that very smoothly at all. But at the very least, let's pop out of here. I don't want to wait around till the end and kind of waste time here. Generally speaking, though, like this tank, it just functions well. Like I wish I had more time to kind of piece together a video, but for those that don't always catch my live stream, like, you know, like I mentioned, I'm getting married here in just about a week. I don't really have time to kind of piece together and YouTube edit and stuff right now. But let's see, I think Battle Hits should be able to pull that last battle for me. Yes, so where they're shooting me, yeah, like he hit me in the hole, that's going to pen every single time. That caused quite a bit of damage because, again, your armor's not too great. Hole shot again. He critted me there, so he gets barely missing my hull, thank God. But basically, this T29, as I noted earlier, I thought he actually hit me up here. However, he spammed APCR, which is standard round, probably would have bounced. But for the most part, though, yeah, basically that little weak spot that I just briefly mentioned earlier, he hit me right there. I'm surprised because I don't know if that was just pure luck or he meant to shoot there. And earlier he hit that, but if he had hit that, he would have penned. But overall, like my initial impressions on this, and you know, with this little mini review of the tank, I know I don't have a lot of battles in it yet. You'll be most likely, you know, seeing me play it on my stream on Twitch. And with how Wargaming usually does things, we'll have rental codes for community contributors on the NA server, and probably, you know, I haven't checked yet. Usually they allow us to give a tank away, but from what they said, and basically they let us know that definitely they wanted us to say that it'll be for sale on May 4th, from my understanding. Basically, like this tank, do I think it's worth buying? I just want to make sure I got the date right. Yeah, May 4th. But more or less though, like do I think it's worth buying? It depends. Like I didn't mention it as far as the crew training goes. You'll notice it's a decent crew trainer. Like that is one thing going for it, like the SU-130 PM. Whereas, you know, sometimes you might have, you know, other TDs in other nations, mainly, you know, the German line. They have a bunch of different crew sizes. It is a decent crew trainer, which is one factor of premium tanks. But as far as performance goes, like it definitely, like just from that one battle there, honestly, it is a very small sample size, so take of it as you will. But also basing it off of the stats, it seems like it'll be fun. You're not going to need to chuck premium out of it too much, which, you know, I load at 16 up here, but I'm never going to use that many. But the mobility feels nice, on the move accuracy feels nice, especially comparing it to like the T28 Proto that I have a lot of battles in. Nothing wrong with the gun, it's just, it mainly comes down to the size of this thing. And while it does have armor, like I noted, and like I'll pop back in here if you... Whoops, I didn't want to pop into the statistics there. If you missed it earlier, so basically this little weak area, the T29 pen, you have all this armor on your turret. However, you know, you have a kind of a weak area here, generally speaking, and then it gets stronger. You have a really weak spot there, and you have basically this entire weak spot on the bottom half of your tank. So does it have armor? I probably would say only against like tier 6s, and that's kind of being generous. I don't really see this thing, you can consider it having armor, which is a pretty a pretty bad thing to have when, say, you compare it to SU-130 PM, which I know this is kind of a tiny tank, but for the most part, it's compared to the ISU-130. This thing is massive. Overall, though, I'd probably say the only way, like, I'd recommend someone picking it up is for a crew trainer, for Russian TDs, or if you really like turreted tank destroyers, even if you like the American turreted TDs, like the T28 Proto. This tank seems like it'll be fun. It definitely won't be one of those tanks, though, that I feel like, which is a good thing, I feel like it's balanced. It's not broken. The size keeps it in check, and the armor keeps it in check, and the bag camouflage. So I definitely feel like it's balanced. The gun is really nice, generally speaking, just all well-rounded. and a little bit added HP is nice too. But you know, it's the non-TD, I feel like, of kind of premium TDs in a sense, to where it kind of plays at more like a weak, like poorly armored heavy in a sense. You know, it's kind of hard to explain just with a battle here and initial thoughts, but you know, I would definitely look into it further if you're planning on picking this up. It seems like it'll be fun. It doesn't seem like it's going to be one of those, like, you know, must get, like, this thing's super unique and, you know, it's really, you know, like, rewarding to play. It's just, you know, it's a good tank. That's kind of my initial thoughts. But in any event, thanks for watching this. And, you know, like I said, I'll have more time to kind of tinker around with this on the live stream coming up. And, you know, I'll probably put out another video with a little bit more thoughts on this. Well, I have a few people here. I'm going to brag a little bit. I just finished this on the stream last night, and I updated it. I posted it on my Discord too, which there's a link in the video description if you haven't joined. I finally ended up free marking my VK3002D, and I'm #1 player for the month here. This was actually pretty challenging to get this thing, but I'm kind of proud of myself. Knocked all these people down a notch. They didn't even know what was coming. I spoke them. In any event, yeah, thanks for watching this, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm sure a lot of other CCs will have videos for the T-103 out, and for the most part, you know, I don't think you can go wrong getting this, but definitely kind of caution yourself, because it's not like it's super different. I feel like, you know, obviously it's a turreted TD, there's not tons of them, but it kind of just feels weird. It's a good weird, but I don't really know how it's gonna go over, like, long term. You know, say like a month, 2 down the road, if you're gonna want to, you know, I need to pop into this thing. You know, I don't know if it has that kind of staying power, just because of the size of this thing. But thanks again for watching. I'll stop babbling on here. I'm going way too long like usual, and I'll see you around. Have a good one.